Because this weekend I know you want
Well, welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you, Lauren. It's great being here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. It's a beautiful showroom in the West Loop,
Yes.
and you're coming right at your 1 year
One-year
opening.
anniversary. Yeah,
That's incredible.
It's exciting.
I send a lot of the clients here, so it's so nice to be here in person and get to experience what they do as well.
Thank you.
Well, before we dive in, can you give us just an overview of Generation Tux, what you do for your clientele? Would love to learn a little bit more and let our viewers know as well.
Generation Tux is a direct-to-consumer option for luxury suits or tuxedos to either rent or purchase. We believe that life's absolute most special moments should include luxury options, but also include convenience and affordability. We don't think anyone should ever have to compromise on a look that should last a lifetime just because a style is out of stock or a price is out of range. And we work really hard to do this by bringing a unique balance to high-tech solutions for customers' convenience, but also remembering that this is a rather emotional journey that the customer has embarked on.
It really is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I like, too, that so our brides, have a journey in finding their dress. And I do tell my couples, like, I want your groom or, your partner to have that same experience and really to get excited about what they're wearing as well. And I think being able to come to a showroom and having that approach is really, really nice because you can go online and pick something out and that works really well, for the busy individual, but it's also nice. Some people need to look and touch and feel and get some more personalized guidance. So
Absolutely right.
So two big questions.
Okay.
Should you rent or buy a tux?
Oh, this is like the age-old debate, and I will do my absolute best to try to answer this with a balance, speaking of balance, a balance of logic and a balance of emotion. But before we get started, I always level this question up and tell people that this doesn't have to be an or proposition. Today's day and age, this can be an and statement. So instead of rent or buy, it can be rent and buy. Okay. But to answer your question directly, so people want to choose between the two, I'll give you 3 factors to consider.
Okay.
All right. The first one isn't always popular and it's not very sexy, but it is the reality of something to consider, and that's budget. And not just the wedding couple's budget, but being sensitive to the wedding party's budget as well.
Yes, that's a good point.
So renting is probably the most affordable way to get a head-to-toe look, because when people say rent or buy a suit or tux, we're not just talking about the jacket and pant that you need, right? You need a shirt, a tie, a vest. You're doing a tuxedo, you're going to need certain jewelry that is applicable to a tuxedo shirt.
True.
Shoes, socks, belts, all these things that you have to do. So renting can absolutely be a really affordable way to fit that into everyone's budget. From a budgetary perspective, buying, if you want to do that and you want to think budget, I always encourage people to think, is this going to be a good long-term investment? If you foresee yourself wearing these pieces 2 to 3 times over the course of however long you own them, then you will more than have paid for them 2 times over. So that's really, from a budgetary perspective, have people decide instant or long-term. But this is where I go back to the and.
Okay.
What we see a lot is the member of the wedding couple who's looking to wear a suit or a tuxedo. Maybe they want a more elevated look. Maybe they want a more elevated experience.
Right.
And so they will buy. They have it as a beautiful keepsake, a reminder of their special day when they wear that out on date nights and other things.
Yeah.
And so they can buy, and they can set the wedding party up to be able to rent. And at Generation Tux, what we do with the majority of our collection is secure fabric and produce it in both retail and rental options. Great. So that if a wedding couple member wants to buy and then have the others rent, everything still looks uniform.
Cohesive.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I've been encouraging my couples to do that. When we're having our initial consultation, I tell, the groom, you may want to to buy, but your guys can rent. They don't
Yeah.
have to, and it still can be a cohesive look. And it's okay if you're standing out just a little bit.
Sure.
It's your day.
It's your day.
Yeah, it's your day.
Should stand out.
And two, so my husband bought his tux almost 11 years ago before our wedding, and he still wears it to this day. I mean,
That's
he wore it a
perfect.
couple weeks ago to a black tie event we went to, and like you said, it was so special. Like when he wears it, he puts it on. I'm like, oh yes, like this was from our wedding day, and
Right.
it's a talking piece when we're with couples, and
Big smiles.
yeah, I think he's just happy it still fits. Still fits, but you know.
I always tell people blame that on the cleaners. The cleaners
Yeah.
shrunk it a little bit. It's got a little shrunk in the cleaners. I think another factor I would consider is how important for you is what I call fit and or customization. So tuxedo rentals or suit rentals come in a wide range of sizes. They come in multiple silhouettes, depending on what you call them, right? Modern, slim, extreme, things like that.
Right.
But and some tailoring can be done to a rental garment.
Okay.
So it just really depends on how important that is to you. The flip side is when you purchase, you can tailor that to your liking, whatever you
custom.
want it to be. And if you level up even more, to your point, and go custom, then you can do things like pick contrasting thread for buttonholes.
Yeah.
You can pick out unique linings. You can do functioning buttonholes. So there's a lot of great things you can do with that. And if fit doesn't matter, then I always tell people revert back to factor number one. Where's the budget? Because buying and doing custom can get a little more costly.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but I do see grooms even now wanting an outfit change. So that's popular
Very much
for
so.
brides as well, which I
Yes.
love. You
Yeah.
know, they might be in a big, beautiful gown, and then they, want to go something a little shorter, sexier,
Yes.
easier to move around. But I'm seeing the grooms too, maybe changing into a dinner jacket or a fun jacket and that's
We
something.
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's something they could also rent or buy
Yes.
through you as well.
Yeah, because a lot of times that may be a color that is not
A little more fun, or
and not something you're going to wear on a regular basis or often
that's
enough.
a good point.
Yeah.
So you could rent something that's a little bit more fun if they know that's not a piece that they're going to
Correct.
be getting the use out of.
Yeah.
That's a really good.
Yeah.
That's a good. I'll share that with my couples.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love that.
I think the last thing I share when people are doing this debate is to remember the 2 C's. I call it the 2 C's. It's convenience and consistency. Okay, so renting is, or at least it should be.
Yeah.
Let me start there. Renting should be the most convenient way to create an outfit and share that with an entire wedding party if you're talking about a wedding.
Especially when they're all over, too.
Correct.
I mean, they're not always in the same state. And
Buying is the flip side of the coin for convenience, and you just mentioned your husband is a perfect example of this. When you buy, the immediate energy may not be as convenient, but down the road, as events come up, especially if those events tend to be last minute, and I know you get invited to a lot of galas and fundraisers and things that you do, and so if there's a last minute invitation that he needs something for, then it's convenient because I have it in my closet already.
I love that.
So convenience works both ways.
It really does.
And then I always talk about consistency because, and you know this better than me, the wedding couple is investing a lot of energy and sometimes a nice portion of their budget to a photographer.
Yes.
And pictures are important.
That's your memories.
They're going to look at those memories and hopefully they evoke feelings that will last a lifetime. We want to create, at Generation Tux, we want to create looks that are going to last a lifetime.
Timeless.
And so consistency is great. Renting elevates the likelihood that the wedding party is going to be consistent to the image that you had in your mind.
Yes.
Buying, it decreases that likelihood. So as long as you mentioned it a minute ago, Lauren, as long as you're okay with that, as long as you're okay with some nuances, if you're okay with some subtleties and you go into it knowing that and you're going to look at the pictures and that's not going to bother you, then go buy and have fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, because I really feel like, too, from what the couple's wearing to what's on the tabletops to the flavors to the sounds in the event, I mean, my goal is to make it a good representation of their personalities, their style, their love, and I think that starts with what they're wearing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, I hope I get this right, Coco Chanel.
Yes.
She said that fashion fades and style endures.
Yes.
So
I love that.
if people are going to buy a tuxedo, I always tell them to follow Miss Chanel's advice. And so fashion is trendy. It can be influenced by celebrities. It can be influenced by social media.
It really can.
But style is what you just mentioned. Style is personal. And so if you're going to buy, if that's what you decide to do, and then if you're looking for what should I think about when I'm going to buy, I want you to buy something that is going to be comfortable and make you feel confident when you wear it and reflect you as an individual for years to come, not the trend that sometimes comes with fashion.
Yes, feeling comfortable in it is huge, because that, I think, really comes through. When you feel good, everything, you see that. Yeah, that confidence. Well, I want to learn a little bit more about you. So you've been in this industry for 30 years?
Yes,
Is that
you're aging me and dating me, but yes. I got started by accident.
Yeah, I want to hear.
First, you have to understand that I'm a self-proclaimed nerd.
Okay.
I love reading and always have. I love reading Batman/Bruce Wayne comics, and I read Ian Fleming's James Bond novels, and I've done that forever. And so I'm going to my junior prom.
Okay.
And I want to go find a tuxedo that will make me look like one of these characters.
Yes, okay.
Right? So, of course, I find it, but I can't afford it. And I happen to be in this shop, and the owner of the shop happens to be there, and he overhears my dilemma, and he says, I'll make a deal with you.
Oh.
If you wear this tuxedo to school and hand out flyers for our shop,
oh my gosh, how cool.
I'll let you I'll let you have the tuxedo for free for prom. So of course I do this.
Yes.
And I'm handing out these flyers.
Were you nervous to do it?
I was super nervous. I didn't know.
But you really did it.
I really did it.
Because some kids could just say like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Like, okay, I
Yep,
love it.
no,
Yeah.
I did it. I wore it. I handed out the flyers, and I remember I dated myself here, so 30 years in the business. There was no social media, so at least I knew that this wasn't going to get blasted viral. It wasn't going to go anywhere, just in the little circle. But it was fun. People loved it. And what I realized at the end was I may not look like James Bond, international spy, but we just talked about this. I felt more confident having that tuxedo on and that look than I think I ever felt. And I imagine this is the kind of confidence that those characters probably have if they were real in order to do what they do. And so it occurred to me what a really cool thing it would be if I could help other people feel that confident on big moments. And so just life took me in that direction, and I still get to do that today.
That's incredible. I love that. So you ended up, you got the tux that you wanted.
I got the tux I wanted.
For junior prom.
It was great.
That's so cool. When should couples start planning their wedding attire? I know brides start thinking about it sometimes before they're even engaged. And, they have mood boards, vision boards. But when would you recommend for renting or buying a tux? When should someone start thinking about that?
Yeah, I know this is going to sound self-serving. I'm in the business, but I truly believe that there's no time than the present to start planning for it. You're absolutely right. If they haven't already been thinking and doing research on a dress, the other side of the aisle, if a member of the wedding couple is wearing a dress, we know from research that this happens 10, 11, 12 months before the event. We also know from research and data that if left to their own device, this side of the aisle will wait till like 2.5, 3 months before the event.
I would say that's what I see from my end. Yeah,
it's so. You are an expert at this. I can't even imagine the stories you could tell about the number of hours and logistics that go into planning the wedding.
Oh yeah.
So the sooner you can move things out from the event date and get them going, I think the better you're going to be from a stress level.
Yes, absolutely. I think that that helps a lot. It's one less thing to do closer to the wedding,
Yes.
and they can just enjoy those final weeks of being engaged and have those things in place. And also too, I feel, the attire of the wedding party also really, that affects the flower that, they might have a boutonniere or the bouquet the bridesmaids are carrying or what's on the tabletops, all of those colors, all of that needs to be cohesive. So understanding what the attire is, I think, can help the whole design process. Because if you're doing a black tie wedding or things like that, I mean, that plays into a lot of elements of the event.
That's a great call out. I mean, I think that's one of the major shifts that's happened that I've observed in the industry. You don't even have to go back 30 years when I started, just go back 20 or 10 years. during that time, weddings followed a way more traditional approach. It was almost like this one-size-fit-all approach. Couples on both sides of the aisle went to brick-and-mortar stores, and several of them to look at attire. Paper invitations were the norm.
Yes.
And so there's been a shift in the industry because of technology. It's really revolutionized. There are online tools that customers can use. You can do fittings virtually. Paperless invitations, if they're not the norm, they're definitely a popular option. But I think the convenience that technology has brought into the industry can help reduce a couple's stress when they're going through all this logistic planning.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to colors. Because during that one-size-fit-all approach, color was really just about the dresses on the other side of the aisle.
Yes, and kind of matching.
And that's still important, but you said so many great things, Lauren. It is in the stationery, it's in the venue, it's in the floral arrangement. It might even be in the catering. So colors are really, really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how could wedding planners help with that process? Do we start that conversation earlier with couples? Because, sometimes we start working with a couple 2 years out, a year and a half, a year. I mean, it kind of varies, but what can we do to help with that process and make it enjoyable?
I know this is something you already do because we've had conversations about this, but like inspect what you expect. And so do it yourself. So as an example, at Generation Tux, we will send free swatches out to customers. You don't need a credit card. You just go online. You don't have to know the exact color. We'll send out 5 at a time, as many times as you want. But if I was a planner, to your question, I would order them for myself and just see what that experience is like. And then there are other milestones. I talked about the emotional journey to go with the high-tech stuff that we offer.
Right.
There are other touch points that are really important to the customer. And so I encourage all of our planners who are thinking about recommending Generation Tux to go through our process themselves. Go online, order swatches, have it sent to your home. Order one for yourself or find a partner and do a free home try-on. And see how this beautiful garment, this luxury garment, comes boxed straight to your door. And then talk with our customer experience, our concierge team, and then send it back and see what happens. But do it yourself. Inspect what you expect before you recommend it to a wedding couple.
I really like that. I want to keep the swatches on hand for when I am with couples, and really to be like, it really helps to look and touch and feel. There's some people that can't visualize. That's why they hire people and come and get the help from us. But I think that would be really, really great. What would you say are the biggest mistakes people encounter when renting a tuxedo?
Okay. If there is an occasion that you're going to attend that is asking you to put on a tuxedo, then never, ever, ever settle for good enough when it comes to your fit.
Okay, I like that.
You could have a really high-end, super expensive garment from a wool perspective, a construction perspective. But if it doesn't fit well, it's not going to look good on you.
Nope.
So
and then you're not having that confidence we talked about either.
100%.
You're kind of shifting
all
and
night.
Yes.
Yeah, you're worrying what other people are thinking. So I think that's a mistake. And sometimes this is on the company that you may use. But if I'm being honest, which is what you asked me to be, sometimes this is on the customer themselves.
Okay.
And here's some examples. Whether you're doing this in person or you're doing it through an opportunity like we present to do it digitally, virtually, be honest when people are asking you for things about your measurements. Okay, so if someone asks you your height, tell them how tall you are.
No one's judging you.
No one.
We want to make it right. Yeah.
That's all they're looking for. Be honest with your height. Be honest with your weight. Be honest with your shoe size. Things like that, because junk in produces junk out.
Yes.
Okay. And then the other mistake I think people make is, I cannot tell you the number of stories that I have heard over my time doing this. From a wedding couple about how frustrated they were that, especially on this side of the aisle, people waiting until the last possible minute to try on the look that they rented.
Yes.
Sometimes it's the day of the event.
Oh
this is the first time they're trying it on. But don't do that.
I see that on wedding day.
The moment you get it, try it on and make sure that it looks the way you want it to look and it feels the way you want it to feel.
Yeah, that's a really good point, though, with putting the correct measurements, or even because sometimes people may want to start working out or lose some weight for the wedding, but you need to be accurate with when you're where you are in that moment.
That's a great point you just made. So that's another reason, selfishly, it's another reason for us to encourage people to start early.
Yeah.
So you can have an idea if you are trying to adjust anything weight-wise, especially, you have time to help the company you're choosing make those adjustments with you along the way.
And you said there could be some, tailoring. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's so that's another reason. That's a good point that I'm going to tell my grooms we got to start earlier.
Do it.
How does Generation Tux simplify the rental process?
Well, when it comes to those two common mistakes specifically, okay, so we have a showroom we're in today. We have a few of them across the country.
Which is beautiful.
Thank you. But the majority of our customers experience our online white-gloved concierge experience. And so they can go online. And 10 years ago when we started, we developed our own proprietary technology. It's a fit algorithm that's AI learning for the last 10 years with every tuxedo interaction. So that's the techie cool side. So be honest when you're answering those questions. However, we talk a lot about emotions on this journey the customer's taking. And anxiety, I've mentioned a few times, that comes along with some of the planning. So what Generation Tux does to help reduce that anxiety around not settling for a fit that's good and just good enough, we will actually let the member of the wedding couple who's renting from us do a free home try-on, however far in advance from their event that they want.
Wow.
So if me and my partner were getting married and she wanted to see me in this hunter green suit, I can do the fit algorithm, I can pick it out, and it's not a generic tuxedo that comes to my doorsteps. It's this hunter green suit and vest that comes to my doorsteps. So I can try it on and make sure that I love how I feel in it, and together, because she gets to see me before, we can decide that it's exactly how I want this to look that we're renting. So that's what's one thing that we do from a fit perspective. The other thing we do to help people not wait to the last minute to try it on is it's very common in the industry that when you're renting that someone will receive their garment, their head-to-toe look, the week of the event. In many cases, many cases, respectfully, it comes 3 to 4 days before the event. And again, you know better than me, but there are a lot of things happening 3 or 4 days before the event. Oh my gosh,
there's, rehearsal dinners and all the things.
Family
and people
coming
are still
in.
working and trying
hotels,
to balance family in town. Exactly.
So we try to help encourage the minimizing the procrastination to do that by sending customers their head-to-toe look 14 days before the event.
That's a great window. That's when things are kind of, they start
calm
to
before the storm, maybe?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, because all the, final numbers are with your caterer. Your planner is, taking care of most of those things. So that's when they're doing nail appointments and those final things, and that's a perfect time to have that. I think that's a sweet spot there.
And we found, look, because we're online and we ship things to people's houses directly to them, of course, that gives us ample time if a customer would prefer to see something a little shorter or a little longer. But we picked the 14 days not because of our delivery window. We can accommodate that in today's world of availability to overnight do things. That's not what we were concerned about. We did research with our customers and found exactly what you said. The sweet spot where there was calm before the storm, I'm going to feel a little less anxiety going on in this moments leading up to my event, was a 2-week window. That's what we heard, so that's what we decided to do.
Yeah, I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
And something that you mentioned too, obviously fit, but I've done this myself. I see something online and I think the color is beautiful, but then the model looks beautiful, right? And then I put it on and maybe that coloring isn't for me or wasn't what I was picturing. So that helps too.
Very much.
Just seeing that color on yourself.
Very much. We see that often where someone will think, as an example, that they want the green and they think they want the white shirt.
We like green.
Yes, we do. We got the
We're
memo.
looking good in green though, right?
St. Patrick's Day, we are. And they think, I want to do the green and I'd like to do the white shirt. But to your point, I'm not sure if the green's going to wash me out.
Skin tones and...
What's really against your skin isn't the jacket, it's the shirt.
It's the shirt.
And so
that's a good point.
Sometimes people will, and like today, I embarrassing here, I don't feel as confident when I wear the white with the green against that. So I make the decision to do the black.
Yeah. And that gives the time too to get creative. Like that, like, okay, this is not exactly what, but you can make those tweaks, the time to do that and get creative.
do the free home try on. It's wonderful.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any fun or surprising stories from your years in the business?
Yes. So this happened shortly after that junior prom experience when I started working in a brick and mortar location. Usually when a wedding couple comes in and they're looking at this side of the aisle's formal wear, they want to talk about things we've talked about. They want to talk about color. They want to talk about etiquette. They want to talk about fit. This couple was extremely adamant about talking around the damage waiver fee. So if you're not familiar, so if you're not familiar, when you rent a suit or tuxedo, there's typically a damage waiver fee. Yeah, and it's very small. It's really minimal, and it's designed to help accommodate, like if a button pops off and it's lost and we've got to replace it, a seam, something like that. Well, finally, we get to why this is so important to this customer. This particular customer, they were skydiving enthusiasts.
Oh, okay.
And
now I'm understanding why this question was so important.
It's exactly where your mind is going. They were going to be jumping out of a plane in their formal attire. And not just them, the entire wedding party. They were going to do their vows in the plane and then jump. And I want to make this very clear to anyone listening. This is not what typical damage waiver fee covers.
I was thinking buttons and
But they understood the risks.
Yes.
They still wanted to
Respectful
go forward.
of the contract.
They were, and they did it. And
do you know how everything came back?
It was so impressive. Nothing, not even a button came off. Not a seam was ripped.
Well, that speaks volumes.
It was fantastic.
Of your materials and quality.
And they showed me pictures because I'm thinking maybe they're just messing with me, but no, they came in later with pictures. And,
I love that.
We put it up in the back room of where I worked for a long time, just as a
that
reminder.
That is so cool. So all of their friends had to have been enthusiasts too, because I was like, to just have, because you probably have close friends from grade school or different areas in your life, right? And so my mind went to everyone wanted to jump out.
It was, and it was a wedding party of, including the wedding couple, there were 6 people on each side. So 12 people jumping out of the plane. Plus,
I thought you said 6 total, so that's a really good number.
The other side of the aisle, they were jumping in their dresses. It was fun. I've never skydived. I actually think I would like to. Now that you're making me tell this story again, I might try to do it in my tuxedo.
I love that. I actually did skydive once. I was in college, and now I look back like, what was I thinking? But next time you go, let me know. Okay. I'll wear a dress this time. I'll relate to
Perfect. We'll do a podcast. Yes.
I love that. Okay, I'm holding you to it.
Done.
So should I ask this takes the cake question? Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, please. I want to touch on all the points. I feel like
you're
we
giving
kind
me credit, but I don't remember what's left. I don't think. I
we
think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Are you happy with what we're doing?
I feel good because we organically kind of are moving and grooving. Do you feel good? Yeah. Okay. Chris, you've been in the wedding business. Okay. So I know you've been in the wedding business for a long time.
Yeah.
What is the craziest story? What has taken the cake? I want to hear it all.
So a lot of my career is taking place in the Northeast.
Okay.
So we're here in Chicago, so upstate New York, Western New York area, similar to your weather here.
Yeah.
It's cold in the winter.
It's a little snowy, you said?
Little snow in my house still, lake effect snow. And so I remember a time where a couple was getting married in the Northeast in the winter. And, of course, it was, how can you predict it, right? But it's a risk you've got to be willing to take. It was one of these seasons where the weather was not in the wedding couple's favor. It was bad weather, snowing.
Yeah.
And so, sadly, at that time, the company I was with did not have this 14-day window policy. And so tuxedos kept getting delayed. And the wedding couple was so great. They understood it wasn't our fault. It was how can the plane actually deliver things. We finally got confirmation that the tuxedos were going to arrive at our shop on Saturday morning,
so
the day of the event.
Okay.
And it was going to be closed.
Still some time, right? Because ceremony might be at 3 or 4.
It was. It was like a 4 o'clock. I remember it clearly. It was a 4 o'clock start point. And so to help even further try to create some buffer time, we talked to the shipping company, I won't mention them, but
Yes.
they were allowed. They said, "Hey, we won't put it on a truck and bring it to you. You can come pick it up, and that'll save you about an hour."
Oh, okay.
So I grabbed. That's 8
going
people
above and
in the wedding
beyond.
party.
Yeah.
It's the wedding couple member that's rented. It's the wedding party. It's like
Any
father of the
dads?
bride.
Yeah.
2 ushers. So it's a decent sized wedding party.
Right.
So I grab a partner from work, and the 2 of us go to the distribution center, pick the garments
How far
up.
is that for
It's
you?
a 3. Oh, that was 20
almost-
minutes.
okay.
But to get to the venue where everyone was going to be was a 3-hour drive. So we're on the road at about
And
8
it's
o'clock
snowy?
this morning.
Is it still
It's
snowing?
snowing.
Okay.
There's snow everywhere. It's still snowing.
So it may not be that safe for you, and you're probably like
White gloving it the
Yeah.
whole way. But like we were not going to let these folks
No,
down.
that's-
This is the big day. And so
Yeah.
we're driving. It's 3-hour drive under normal conditions. Took us closer to 4. And so we get there, and me and the guy from work, we go in and we start trying to help in any way we can.
Yeah, getting them dressed.
So we're helping
and kind
people
of
get dressed. We
bow
go to the
ties or
groom's room and we're helping people get dressed.
Yeah.
And then we notice there's a bag that no one's claiming, a tuxedo that no one's claiming.
Oh.
So I go over to the groom.
And he's good?
I said, "Hey, I'll leave names out of the
Yes, yeah,
story.
uh-huh.
But hey, this person's, where are they? Like, we want to get them dressed." And they're like, "Oh, no. This is my fiance's like best friend in the world." And just like with the tuxedos, his flight kept getting
Travel.
delayed, and it finally got canceled. We thought he was going to get in today. He's not. So as a joke, because we've been joking now around with
Yeah,
them
you've
since-
probably built
Okay.
a relationship with them because you've been probably
In constant
pretty close
communication.
communication. Yeah.
So as a joke, I say, "Hey, well, the guy that I brought with me, he's literally the exact sizes that are in that tuxedo. So if you want, I'll just tell him he's got to put on the tux and be in your wedding." So I don't think anything of it. We go back to helping other people. The dad of the father of the bride has some questions, and so we go that. About 5 minutes later, the groom comes in and goes, "Okay, I spoke to the maid of honor who spoke to my fiance, and she's like, go, tell him to put on the tugs."
So you're going to do a stand-in.
So I look over and he looks at me and I'm like, we shrug, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Oh,
so he puts on the
that's a
tuxedo
good sport.
and gets into their wedding. Like the whole 9. He's like walking
walks
people down the aisle.
Oh my gosh.
He's at the reception. He's in every single formal picture that they took. These guys thought it was just going to be the funniest thing in the world to
Yeah.
go back and look at these pictures and say, "So no, we don't
Forever.
really know who this person
gonna
is,
remember
but
you."
here's what they did."
Yes, but that goes back to like their memories and forever. Like you were
Yeah.
but it also speaks to the experience they had with you and the experience they had with your company, because if you didn't have that relationship and they didn't trust you and they, and how you kind of, you made it happen for them, I don't think they would have said, "Hey,
Right.
let's dress up and be a part of my," but like you became part of their family. You became part of that. And I feel like that's just incredible. And they probably look back at those photos and still think about you guys. And
I hope so.
I think that's super cool.
I think you make a really good point too. Like we were talking, you asked me about mistakes, and so I'd like to share one.
Yeah.
I don't think this has nothing to do with formal wear,
Mm-hmm.
but like you, we get to be part of these folks' lives in a meaningful way for a really special
Emotional
event.
time.
And they're planning for a while, and we've talked about some stress and anxiety that comes along with that. So I think one of the things I would encourage people to do in a way to avoid another mistake is don't forget to soak it all in.
Yes.
Like people can get so embedded in the logistics and in perfection being an enemy of happiness. Just, it's important.
It is.
And
yes.
and we want we want to deliver as wedding
do.
professionals. We
do.
want to deliver it. But at the end of the day, don't forget to also spend as much time as you plan, spend that much time soaking it in. When you're 10, 12 months out and you're planning all these moving pieces, schedule a date night, schedule a date day where you do not talk about the wedding. You do not talk about the planning. Talk about what made you want to get married to this person in the first place, and really try to soak it all up.
That's really good advice. Yeah, because they're engaged for that period of time, and you want to soak up every single moment, right? You're engaged, and then you're married, and then you're newlyweds. And I try to tell my couples that too, like enjoy every single one of these moments, and it goes so fast.
So fast.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the most important reason, yes, you want to look good and feel good and have everything around you go perfectly, but at the end of the day, you're marrying your partner, your person.
Yes,
and
exactly. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was so fun chatting with you.
Oh, this was a blast. Thank you.
I loved being here.
Me too.
And should I close it up with like this side of the aisle type thing, or no? Do you want? Yeah.
And then I think to like definitely share like
How to get in touch? Yep.
all the info.
Okay. What can our listeners learn more? Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. Can you please share your information, Generation Tux, so our listeners know
thank you.
where your showroom is and how they can get in touch?
Well, we're online, so go to generationtux.com.
Okay.
Go to showrooms, and if you want to visit a showroom, see if there's one in your community. But if not, go to generationtux.com. We built a beautiful experience for you and your partner to navigate through. There's a lot of inspirational lookbooks. There are choreographed campaign shoots that we do. But I always tell people, go to the section of the website where it's the real weddings and see real couples who've used us and see how they've put these things together and hear what they have to say straight from them. And then follow us on Instagram.
Yes, that's great advice.
Please and thank you.
And do you, I know people like to get, their photos from their wedding shared. Do you encourage them tagging you in their wedding photos?
Please.
Do you guys share
thank
that?
Thank you for asking that. We would absolutely appreciate that.
Okay,
yes.
good. I think that would be so fun so everyone can be with it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura.